Today on Law Next, an exclusive interview with Paul Colangelo, the newly named CEO of CasePoint. Founded as an e-discovery platform in 2008, CasePoint expanded over the years into the government sector, most notably becoming a leading platform for management of freedom of information requests. 18 months ago, the private equity firm Thoma Bravo acquired CasePoint and simultaneously merged it with Opexus, a developer of various process management tools for the government sector, including FOIA. This week, that merged company got a new CEO. Colangelo has extensive experience in the GovTech sector, including having founded and sold Numo, a leading government automation and cloud software platform. A few days ahead of the announcement, Colangelo sat down with me for this conversation about the company he now leads. I am Bob Ambrogi, and this is Law Next, the podcast that features the innovators and entrepreneurs who are driving what's next in law. Before we get to any of that, please take this moment to hear about the sponsors who so generously support this podcast. Transform your immigration practice with LollyLaw, the comprehensive case management system designed specifically for immigration attorneys. Access over 150 USCIS, DOJ, and EOIR forms, all updated within an hour of release, while automating your workflow with more than 50 predefined customizable processes. With multilingual client portals and questionnaires available in over 20 languages, they'll streamline client communication and enhance efficiency. Discover why LollyLaw is the #1 rated immigration case management software at lollylaw.com. That's LOLLYLAW.com. Now let's get to today's guest. Paul Colangelo, welcome to Law Next.
Bob, great to be here.
Thanks for doing this. Nice to meet you. And welcome to your new position. Are you actually? I know we're recording this a couple days before this actually gets announced, but are you actually up and running and at work?
Bob, I am. I'm up and running and in that learning curve right now.
Yeah. So, Paul, lots to talk about today, but why don't we kind of start with your background? Tell us a little bit about yourself and where you've been up until now.
Yeah, it sounds good, Bob. So over the last 25 plus years, I've spent working in government software businesses, both on GovTech and legal tech side of things. Most recently founded a business and sold it 2.5 years ago called Numo. Numo was a federal, state, and local software business that provided workflow solutions to a number of different industries within GovTech. Sold it 2.5 years ago, and decided to take a little time off, and then very recently got introduced to the team at Thoma Bravo and the CasePoint leadership team.
I was really interested. I kind of went down a little rabbit hole of exploring the Numo website. I had never heard of the company before until I was preparing to talk to you, but really interesting product. And I was interested to see that it also has products specifically for court systems.
Yeah, so the Numo business had a vertical referred to as Justice. In Justice, they had a court case management system where court administrators could manage the intake and disposition of a case through that whole life cycle, along with jury management systems that manage the jury process from identification until actually paying the jurors upon jury duty conclusion. So Numo was a larger player in that state and local court and jury business.
Interesting. So when you learned about this opportunity, got introduced to the Thoma Bravo people, what was it about CasePoint that sparked your interest?
Yeah, so Bob, a couple things that I was really intrigued by. First and foremost, it's a great business. It's got a lot of the core foundations of a business that I found very interesting. First, really the focus around the mission of what they do. The market of e-discovery, FOIA, and case management is something I'm familiar with, but something that again is very mission oriented. So it kind of piqued my interest. The second piece that I think is really important is it's a great group of leaders at CasePoint. The ELT team has significant experience in GovTech and legal tech and enterprise solutions. And I was really impressed with the existing leadership team that was put in place prior to my arrival. The other piece was this group of folks is very innovative. The can do attitude across the organization, very innovative around AI. AI is a first strategy for them. They've embraced it in all functional areas of the business, from product to engineering to HR. I found that appealing to me. AI is like oxygen for businesses today. Just
Hmm.
like people need oxygen to breathe, I think businesses need AI to breathe. And so their strategy and roadmap around that really was intriguing to me. And then finally, the investment partner. Thoma Bravo is one of the largest software investors in the world, with great track record and experience in investing in really amazing businesses and making them better. And so for me, the people, the processes, and the AI tools is really what drew me to it. And then finally, I think is really, really important, Bob, and that is just their security posture. They've really differentiated themselves in the market from competitors. And for me, that was really important when you're dealing with sensitive data and access and very important workflows, kind of behind the firewall, if you will, within the IL5 and IL6 networks within the Department of War. That's really important. And so their posture was exciting to see, and how the organization rallies around that as well.
For anybody who's watching or listening to this right now, who doesn't know the background, it's probably worth mentioning that Thoma Bravo came in a year and a half ago, about January 2025, and became majority took a majority stake in CasePoint. Also, at that point, merged it with this company Opexus, which was a government sort of process manager. I guess another GovTech solution is a short way to put it. FOIA focused process management. Um, so that was roughly what 18 months ago or so that happened. And so as you are stepping in now, what's kind of the mandate? I mean, what have the people at Thoma Bravo said? Here's what we want from you.
Yeah, so for us, I think first and foremost, we're building, one culture, one team, one dream, as they say. Really important when you're going through integration, Bob, of two large category players in e-discovery and FOIA. So making sure we get integration right. That's important, not just for the employees and the investors, but more importantly, important to our customers, right? We want to make sure we have one integrated customer support system, right? So we can support our customers, real time with white glove treatment, right? One integrated finance system, right? So these operational things are really important, and so we are well on our way there, and we'll be doing that. Two, really around unification of the platform, right? And so when you log into the platform for CasePoint, your experience should allow you through configuration the ability to take advantage of our e-discovery tools, take advantage of our FOIA tools, and take advantage of our case management tools. So having a unified platform and brand around our go-to-market are a few of the mandates that are really important, not just to the business, but to our customers.
Where are you as a company in bringing about that integration of staff, that integration of product over these last 18 months? I realize you're new to the company, but as you're walking into it now, where is all of that?
Yeah, fortunately, they've done a really great job. The leadership team upon my arrival, most of the operations are fully integrated. Our product is fully unified. CasePoint eDiscovery and FOIA is a unified platform today, leveraging very unique AI workflows too. And then I would tell you, there's some little a few policies that have to catch up inside the organization that will continue to just integrate and clean up over the next 30 to 60 days. But for the most part, it is an integrated organization. And my job as the new CEO is to drive alignment right across that organization around what I call is a value creation plan. Something that really gets an organization aligned around priorities from product to operations to sales, to go to market, marketing, et cetera.
Yeah. So, a lot of people who listening to this podcast might first know, or probably did first know, of course, of CasePoint as an e-discovery platform, and over the years, as you've suggested, it's expanded significantly into the government sector and into FOIA cases. What does this combined entity kind of look like now? Where is the principal focus for CasePoint as it stands today?
Yeah, CasePoint's going to continue to focus in the enterprise, GovTech, legal tech markets. And again, that's at a very, very high level, Bob. We will continue to pivot with our applications and drive AI assisted technology along with enhanced agentic AI workflow capabilities. We want to continue to reduce legal risk, right? We want to, accelerate in our products the investigative capabilities that we have, right? How can an investigator quickly find, relevant information across millions and millions of records, right? We want to work with our customers and help them control costs, right? Automate the
Hmm.
review versus the manual document processing, certainly. And then lastly, improve outcomes, right? When you're dealing with AI and agentic workflows, we want to improve the outcomes for legal teams, investigators, and compliance officers so they can make better decisions and certainly do that with complete information.
I think the government side, the FOIA side of this is interesting. I'm sure you've seen already that others in the e-discovery space have expanded into this area or are expanding. Everlaw has a big FOIA customer base. Relativity just announced a new FOIA-focused product. What do you think it is about CasePoint that distinguishes it in that area?
Yeah, there's a couple things, Bob. When you think about FOIA, right, the first thing that's really important to point out is that it certainly, enables government organizations and citizens to access certainly relevant public information, right, and protecting sensitive data around it, right. It's really important that the application increases transparency, right. That's what FOIA is about, demonstrating that accountability that citizens and stakeholders want. I mean, that's the world we live in today, right? And there's certainly regulatory guidance and deadlines that need to be met as well when you're thinking about FOIA, right?
Hmm.
Most people think of it as just a redaction type of tool, but it's bigger than that. It's protecting sensitive information. So when we do redact, we do it right as it relates to PII or law enforcement information or even classified content for that matter, right? And so
Hmm.
this ultimately improves that experience for that citizen. And so for where I think we really differentiate ourselves is transparency is no longer a compliance exercise. It's a public trust imperative for all of us. And we stand behind our security and the applications that we've built and the service delivery that we wrap around it. That really differentiates us from our competitors that you mentioned. We can talk about the features and the functions, but at the end of the day, it really is about the security and the preservation of that information and implementing, assisted AI tools and workflow capabilities for the customer.
And when you talk about security, you meaning you, CasePoint, have pretty much the whole gamut of major federal security classifications, authorizations, FedRAMP and DoD and others like that, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right. So we are the only organization in this market that has a certified IL5 and IL6 security posture. That is not an easy thing to do. We've been fortunate that our customers have sponsored us to do that, and we take very very seriously the onboarding and execution of those postures.
Yeah. Obviously, you come from the gov tech sector, and a lot of your experience is in that sector. And you come on the heels of this merger that we talked about earlier. Does your hiring specifically suggest kind of a doubling down on that whole government sector by this company?
Yeah, absolutely, Bob. One of the core investment theses behind this merger of these organizations was also to expand TAM, the total addressable market. And so while we are a very strong player in the enterprise market and federal market, we do have state and local customers today. So we will be doubling down on the state and local side. State and local customers have the same needs of FOIA, e-discovery, and case management. And so we feel there's a natural adjacency for us to kind of, expand our business into those markets, given certainly my experience, but frankly, even the experience of some of the folks that have been hired on the leadership team.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear that. I have another hat that I wear is as a lobbyist for the news industry in Massachusetts, where I'm based, and so I deal a lot with FOIA issues on the state level. And it is so often the case that FOIA responses take forever because agencies are still trying to do it manually in the old way. And I keep trying to tell some of these people that, there's software that does this for you these days. You don't have to do it the old way anymore.
Yeah, and Bob, I mean, just to kind of comment on that, I mean, you're absolutely correct. And not only do you have software, leading companies like CasePoint who are driving hard around AI really makes that workflow quicker, faster, auditable, and much easier for the end users.
Yeah. It, Something I'm curious about is just what you're seeing or what you're anticipating in terms of kind of the headwinds on the government side, particularly on the federal side, given, we've been in this climate for the last couple of years in which there's been a lot of talk about cutting back on contracts, cutting back on staffing, the whole kind of Doge era contracting turbulence that took place for a period of time. Do you feel that the headwinds are favorable, or is this maybe not a good time to be investing in the government sector?
I think folks who are in the investment community should be doubling down in the GovTech sector today for a number of reasons. Mission critical software applications like CasePoint are, I have found through my 25 plus years of experience, this is all I've done, are Doge proof, are recession proof, are pandemic proof, right? Go on and on and on. These are mission critical applications that have to be used to help governments run, right? I mean, whether it's a tax administration system or it's an e-discovery system or a FOIA system, you've got regulatory requirements, you've got tax revenue you got to collect. They're mission critical. So we feel, and I feel, in this market, we're a little bit immune to some of those headwinds that you mentioned. I actually think the tailwinds are quite strong for the investors in this industry, and I think over the next couple of years, you're going to start to see investment folks double down and really think through the GovTech, legal tech strategy even further.
Yeah. We've talked a lot so far about the GovTech side of CasePoint, but what about the e-discovery side of the business? I'll ask Paul about that in just a moment, but first, please take this opportunity to learn about the sponsors who so generously support this podcast. Immigration attorneys, are you ready to modernize your firm's billing process with Lollylaw? Create invoices in seconds, offer flexible payment plans, and accept payments via SMS, QR codes, and client portals available in over 20 languages. Lollylaw's native payment processing helps you maintain steady cash flow while giving clients the flexibility they need. Combined with real-time form updates and comprehensive case tracking, Lollylaw eliminates the obstacles slowing down your immigration practice. Experience the difference at lollylaw.com. That's LOLLYLAW.com. Welcome back to Law Next. My guest is Paul Colangelo, who has just been named CEO of CasePoint. Before the break, we were talking about the company's opportunities for growth in the government sector. Now we'll turn to the e-discovery market and the implications of AI. You talked about growth opportunities on the government side, the FOIA side. What about on the e-discovery side? What about investigations, compliance? What do you see as the opportunities there?
Oh, I think investigations, case management. Let's just start there for a second. The TAM is massive. There's roughly 18,000 federal, state, and local law enforcement organizations across the U.S. today, all of which have case management needs. Right today, in case management, you've got lots of disparate files. Right, you've got emails, spreadsheets, shared devices, legacy apps, et cetera, et cetera. And there's no single centralized case management system that looks across all that data, pulls it together, and helps an investigator make more informed decisions, right? Fact-based decisions, and then certainly doing it in a deconfliction manner that allows auditability in that case management process. So I see a huge opportunity for CasePoint to really get deeper into that market across federal, state, and local government. As for e-discovery, look, it's a multi-billion dollar industry and
Hmm.
only growing, right?
Hmm.
Data resources only grow too. And so I continuously see e-discovery and FOIA as a growing industry. I recently read on FOIA Advisor that the number of FOIA requests continue to rise and escalate across the federal government. And so there's no shortage of information flow these days. The organization that will win with the right governance, the right security, the right innovation in the market.
Yeah. I don't know what your sort of level of familiarity with the whole e-discovery market was prior to accepting this position, and I'm sure you've been in a crash course of learning a whole lot more than whatever you knew before. But I'm curious what you see or what the company sees as kind of the role of AI. How is AI, generative AI in particular, kind of changing the economics, I guess, of e-discovery and of CasePoint's role in e-discovery?
Yeah. So, look, I've spent a ton of time visiting with our clients across the federal market. Everybody is trying to figure out where does agentic AI and AI fit into the work stream.
Hmm.
And I think it's fairly unanimous that there's certainly a need and a product market fit for that. Where I see it going in more detail outside of just like the normal things like, defensible discovery processes and lower litigation costs and faster case resolution, et cetera. Outside of that, I think you're going to see AI and human in the loop converge. The policies and procedures and governance around that will certainly get better here in the near future, but it is not going to take over how legal teams do their jobs. Okay. It's going to make them quicker, faster, better, but that human in the loop is going to be the differentiator in terms of how e-discovery and those products are used in the market today.
Yeah. As you have these conversations with customers of the company, what are their concerns about AI? What are they telling you about their worries about this technology?
Well, obviously, AI is incredibly, incredibly powerful. One of the things that they continue to like about it is what took them months can now take them days and hours. That's a recurring kind of customer impact we continuously hear. The other thing that we continually hear is as they embrace it, they want a predictable operating model on how they engage with the AI tools. What I mean by that, Bob, is, the way we have built our operating model with our customers today is on a recurring, predictable expense slash revenue stream for our customers. And as you're dealing with AI and token based consumption, they're pushing for more predictability so they can be effective and efficient. Without the predictability, it does impact their ability to leverage it at the scale that they should and could leverage it at.
Yeah. So are you going to be able to get them there?
We will certainly get them there.
All right. Um, you talked about the aspects of your FOI, the FOIA business that distinguish you from some of the others that are out there in the market. And I realize that some of that carries over into the broader e-discovery market. But again, it's a huge market, as you said. It's also a very crowded market with a lot of long established players competing for business here. Uh, what do you think in that broader e-discovery market it is that distinguishes your company and makes it stand out?
Yeah, there are a lot of great companies out there that are operating in the e-discovery market. What I would say is there's a couple things. One is our people inside our company are amazing. Their years of experience in e-discovery, both having worked on the government side or enterprise side and now working for CasePoint, enables us to build better products, enables us to better support our customers in the market. Certainly, with all that experience, we're able to improve outcomes for legal teams and investigators. Really, really important. And then I would tell you the biggest thing, there are a lot of players out there that are doing AI powered search, right? And summarization. Like that's assisted AI. What will continue to differentiate us in the market will be our Agenix AI capability when you're really drilling into workflows, providing legal professionals with potential answer sets or statements that may be relevant that they're working through. So we are taking it to a whole different level as an organization, but also at the same time maintaining the core of what CasePoint and eDiscovery has been for us for 20 plus years, right?
Hmm.
So that's how I see it in the market. It's going to be about security. It's going to be about governance, and we differentiate ourselves significantly in those security and governance areas to our competitors.
Hmm. And maintaining that human in the loop as you
You
as you
just
further develop these products.
you have to, Bob. I mean, you're a
Yeah.
legal professional. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not going to have robots, running our legal system. And, the reality is legal professionals have to spend time in the data too. We're just going to make it more accessible and easier for them to get to it and analyze it.
So those are a lot of the strengths of the platform of the product. Are there gaps in the platform that you plan to address?
So we're going to continue to look at acquisitions going forward. Our model for growth is certainly organically and serving our existing business and customers. The way we'll continue to grow will be organically, but also inorganically. And so there are interesting companies that are in the e-discovery space, in the FOIA space, in the case management space that we're evaluating that allow us to continue to enhance our product set. And so it'll be very product centric as it relates to the customer journey map. We want to map back to the customer journey and we want to make sure that we're providing them the appropriate tools they need to continue to do their jobs in a very evolving marketplace.
So you expect there will be we might see some bolt-on acquisitions over the next few years.
Yeah, if you go back and look at my track record at Numo over 10 years, we did 12 acquisitions over those 10 years, three very large ones that we put the company together. So I'm very aligned with the leadership team at CasePoint and Toma Bravo. We believe that's one of the better ways to get product to our customers, right? And so we have a chief product officer who's absolutely fantastic at what he does, and he is working with the leadership team to identify, those product market fit areas that we want to continue to expand in. And we've got a couple of areas that we're pretty high on.
Yeah. Thoma Bravo came in 18 months ago. Obviously, they're, you know, somewhere on the horizon is an exit for them. What's the horizon look like for the company right now over the next 3 to 5 years?
I think the focus is continuing to do great work, Bob, right? I mean, I can't predict, is it 1 year from now, 4 years from now, 5 years from now that we end up with a new investment partner? We don't think about it that way. We think about it as, how are we helping our customers become more efficient, more productive, more effective? The rest of that stuff kind of takes care of itself over time. I've learned that through my 25 plus years of GovTech, legal tech, and private equity backed companies. We're going to stay to our course. We're going to stay to our value creation plan, where we need to just focus on execution and delivering for our customers.
Yeah. I know for a long time, CasePoint was overseen basically by its founders, who were very instrumental in building and growing the company over a number of years, and that was reflected in the culture there. And obviously, there's been some changes over the last 18 months with the merger and new ownership. But what do you hope to achieve internally in terms of the company culture?
Yeah, so it started on day one. So there's three principles that I think are really important in building a high performing culture. One is trust. You got to trust the process. You got to trust your leaders in that they're going to make the right decisions for the business, the shareholders, and the customers. The second one is just transparency. Like employees want to understand what the strategy is, right? I.e., value creation plan. Employees want to understand, where they fall, how they're doing. They want to understand, how the business is performing, from a transparency standpoint. And so we're going to spend a lot of time on those two pieces. And then the third piece is communications, Bob. Communications, even with adults, you got to repeat yourself 4 or 5 times. I've learned over and over and over for it to sink in. And that's because we're all working really hard. The employee base is very focused on their respective, workflows, work streams, and the consistent and persistent communication through Teams, through email, through in person, through celebrating our successes is a really important part of building culture. And culture is contagious, right? We've had a tremendous Q2. We've closed a number of new large opportunities, and we're going to celebrate, right? So that we build that winning culture as a team. The founders, Haresh, Vishal, they did a great job getting the company to this point. In fact, Vishal is still our CTO, somebody I embrace, somebody I have a very high opinion of. I think he's super smart. I built a great relationship with him. Haresh, one of the other founders, I met with him. Not in the business today, but has great vision and strategy. And so the new culture for CasePoint is going to be around, embracing the history and the historians that we have in the business today, and complement it with trust, transparency, and communication as we go forward.
Well, Paul, you've answered all of my questions. Is there anything else that you would like the people in the audience to know about you or about the company?
Yeah, Bob, I appreciate that opportunity to share more. I would say CasePoint's a great company. The employee base is very, very mission focused. They go above and beyond for their clients across government and enterprise. They've got a real DNA for can do attitude, and innovation. We are all really excited about the next several months within this business. We've got some really exciting opportunities that we will be delivering on, both on the sales side and then certainly on the product side, that I know customers and partners are going to get excited about. And then finally, look, GovTech, legal tech. I mean, it's a great market. There's a ton of opportunity for us to continue to grow and expand in this market. And we will do that. We will make the right investments across the product, which we've done in the past and we continue to do. And we want to continue to be the leader in the market for e-discovery, FOIA, and case management. That's our plan, Bob.
Well, Paul, thanks so much for coming on the show, and congratulations to you on this new role.
Bob, I really appreciate it. I've read a lot of your blogs and posts in the past. Certainly appreciate your leadership here and you taking the time here to meet with me, and love to connect in the future at some point when it makes sense.
Well, likewise, and maybe we'll get you back on here in a year and give us a report on how it's going. But
You got it. You got it, Bob.
sounds good. All right. Thanks again.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for joining us for today's show. Hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to share your own thoughts or comments, please do so by messaging us on LinkedIn or other social media, or just email me directly, ambrogi@gmail.com. If you're a fan of the show, please leave us a review. LawNext is a production of LawNext Media. I'm your host, Bob Ambrogi. I hope you'll join us again next time for another great episode of LawNext.